Jeff Bezos, now the richest man on the planet,
He's already increased his net worth over $6 billion.
with a net worth of $179.9 billion, is on course to become the first person in the world to be worth $1 trillion. On the surface, it would appear that Jeff Bezos is a tremendously successful businessman who has his life completely organized. So why do so many people hate this man? Well, if I told you now, you wouldn't believe me. Amazon is an extremely successful online shopping company that has now grown to become one of the most powerful companies on the planet, and he serves as the company's chief executive officer. Not only did he build himself up from nothing and start Amazon at the prime age of 30, but he is also the first individual in modern history to amass a fortune of over $200 billion. He did this by bringing himself up from nothing and starting Amazon at the prime age of 30. After all that has been said about him, you would think that people all around the world would love him, wouldn't you say? Wrong. If you look on any social media platform, you will always find a lot of people being hostile to Jeff Bezos. The question is, why is that? Why does everyone have it in for the founder of the most user-friendly and successful online shopping firm in the world? Let's begin with how he interacts with his staff members. The author of The Everything Store, Brad Stone, describes the propensity of Jeff Bezos to have a fit of irrational rage whenever an employee fails to live up to his or her standards. The pattern of the businessman is to hurl scathing comments at any hapless employee who happens to be within eye range when he does so. Veterans of Amazon have compiled a list of the most cutting things that Jeff Bezos has ever said, including, "Why are you wasting my life?" and "I'm sorry, did I take my stupid pills today?" to the point of even describing his workers as being incapable of doing their jobs. There are circumstances in which these attacks are warranted, such as when individual attempts to take credit for the work of another individual. Yet, there are also situations in which employees could be yelled at just for not responding quickly enough to a question. Not only is Jeff Bezos rude to the people who work for him, but he also encourages them to be rude to the people who work with them. The New York Times asserts that Bezos and Amazon have completely disregarded the idea of cooperating as a group in their business practices. He has such a strong desire for all of his workers to compete against one another that he has even implemented a function in the internal phone directory of the company that explains how managers can receive confidential information about specific workers from other managers. The technology is known as the Anytime Feedback System, and it is ridiculously simple to use to sabotage the efforts of a fellow employee. Even simple sentences like, "I felt concerned about his inflexibility and openly complaining about minor tasks" are included in the program. According to several workers, the technique is frequently used to undermine the efforts of other employees. Second, for a man who is believed to make $149,353 every minute, Jeff Bezos seems to have an odd connection with charitable giving. This is especially surprising given the magnitude of his wealth. In an interview that took place in 2018, Jeff Bezos stated that the only way he can envision his wealth being put to use is by investing in his space enterprise, which is known by the name Blue Origin. According to AOL, Jeff Bezos is the most secretive about his charitable giving out of the 4 richest Americans. Even though he is the richest man in the world, he is the only one of the 4 billionaires to have not joined the Giving Pledge. It is concerning that Jeff Bezos has not yet joined the Giving Pledge, which requires the wealthiest people in the world to donate the bulk of their fortune to charitable organizations, the Giving Pledge. Having said that, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that Bezos has contributed to charitable causes throughout his career. In 2018, he established the Day One Fund, intending to donate a total of $2 billion to solve challenges related to education and homelessness. However, Vox points out that the fund is quite ambiguous and could be ineffectual, and many people like Recode are skeptical that Jeff Bezos is not doing this with good motives and is simply attempting to escape from the scrutiny of the public. Even if the day one fund is profitable, which is highly unlikely given Bezos' impeccable reputation, the amount of money involved is insignificant in comparison to the rest of his riches. He delegated all of the responsibility for making money to other people. These days, if you want to be the CEO of a large firm, all you have to do is kick your feet up, relax, and watch other people bring in the cash. It's obvious that he is a narcissist because he leads such a lavish and privileged lifestyle. But his workers weren't permitted to use the restrooms at the distribution facilities, and the people who work there are frequently underpaid for the amount of back-breaking labor they perform. Bezos is the perfect example of what can happen to a person when wealth corrupts their judgment. I do not doubt that he was once a kind person, but his wealth has transformed him into a self-absorbed narcissist. Bezos is a swine dressed up in a fine suit. We don't detest him because we are envious of his wealth. Rather, we don't like him because of how he behaves towards other people and how he sees himself. Finally, he criticizes book publishers by referring to them as sickly gazelles. When Amazon was just getting started, there were a lot of small publishers that saw this as a new opportunity to distribute their books, so they took advantage of it. It was a shame, but the offer was too good to be true. The Everything Store demonstrates that Jeff Bezos does not consider those tiny publishers to be equals. Instead, he considers the publishing company and industry as vulnerable animals, simply waiting for a predator to come along and take advantage of them. Soon enough, the independent publishers started to become increasingly reliant on Amazon for sales. And the online retailer took advantage of this fact by beginning to demand more favorable contract terms. The situation deteriorated to the point where the Everything Store referred to as simply sadistic. Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, gave direct orders to his workers to, quote, approach these small publishers in the same manner that a cheetah would pursue a sickly gazelle, end of quote. This treatment came straight from the CEO himself. As a direct result of this rule, certain executives at Amazon took great joy in engaging in abusive behavior toward the publishers. When things got to this point, the attorneys working for Amazon began to experience some level of unease regarding the situation. In the end, they were successful in having Amazon change the name of the initiative from the Gazelle Project to the Small Publishers Negotiation Project, which is perceived as being more cooperative. The fact that Amazon's legal team felt it necessary to get involved is evidence of how dire the situation had become. So what do you think about that now? Will you, after learning about Jeff Bezos' history of bad behavior, become yet another person who despises Jeff Bezos? Regardless of how problematic Jeff Bezos is as a CEO, Amazon remains one of the most user-friendly and convenient locations to shop online. This is true even though Amazon is run by him. It offers a large selection of products from which to choose and ships orders in a reasonable amount of time. So, did you like our video? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel.